Hey there, my fellow YouTubians. So those of you who have been watching me for a while now know that I did a 10 most anticipated at the beginning of the year as far as movies that come out, scheduled to come out in 2009, although 3 of them have been delayed to the following year. Most of them did come out, and a couple more left to go, like The Lovely Bones and The Imaginary of Dr. Parnassus. However, my number 2 most anticipated movie, right behind Watchmen, was of course Avatar. So of course I went to see it opening weekend. Would you expect any less from me? I don't think so. James Cameron, of course, is the evil genius behind it. My younger brother first recommended that I check out Aliens many years ago, which still to this day is his best movie. And since then, of course, he did the Terminator movies and True Lies and The Abyss and Titanic and now Avatar. As far as the movie itself goes, the story is very predictable. Not really hard to see what's going on here, what's going to happen with the main character, especially if you've seen movies like The Last Samurai or Dances with Wolves. One guy in the lobby of the theater was telling his friend, yeah, it's like Dances with Wolves meets The Matrix. And the guy who he's talking to saying, you mean you actually want to see a movie like that? What's the matter with you, you know? Regardless of the, relatively unsurprising nature of the story, every single nickel of the $300 million or however much it cost to make the thing is on the screen, man. You could hardly, see a more spectacular effects, drenched movie, in your life. The characters, the CGI characters are very expressive. It's definitely a step up from the Polar Express and the other motion capture stuff that I've seen. I think part of that is due to the fact that the eyes are really, really big, kind of like a cartoon character, so that helps. There are a lot of really great set pieces. The ending sequence, which is this big battle between several clans of natives and the human army, is very, very impressive. And as far as the 3D effect goes, it wasn't really distracting or anything like that. There were times when I noticed it. Most of the time I was just watching the movie, immersed in the movie, so it worked. The shot that really sort of paid off came like right in the beginning of the movie, where all the guys have been traveling on the ship for several years, and they climb out of their suspended animation canisters and float around the cargo bay of the ship, and that's a really, really nice looking 3D shot. Now, for those of you who are interested in aspect ratio, I'm going to get a little technical here, because most of the movies that I've seen on IMAX screens, and I did go and see the movie in 3D on the IMAX theater at Navy Pier here in Chicago, a lot of these that I've seen, such as, like I said, the Polar Express, and older movies like Raiders of the Lost Ark and Apocalypse Now, and Watchmen, I saw that in IMAX as well. The aspect ratio is basically the proportions of the frame. A lot of the big budget effects movies have a very sort of rectangular shape to it. The image itself is much wider than it is tall. When you look at a DVD, you'll see that there are the black bars at the top and the bottom, and that's to sort of accommodate the shape of the screen. Whereas the actual screen you're watching it on is not that wide, so they basically shrink the whole thing down in order to fit the entire picture on there. So when you go see a movie like that on an IMAX screen, the screen itself is 8 stories tall, but it's pretty much square. So in order to get the entire image on, they've got to basically do the whole DVD thing on the screen, so a large portion of the upper and lower portions of the screen is not used. And with Avatar, what I learned ahead of time is that it isn't quite so rectangular, at least not the 3D version. The IMAX version actually has a milder ratio, which means that more of the screen is able to be used. But at a certain point in the movie, I noticed something which made me angry, and that is that it didn't use the entire width of the screen for IMAX. There's actually a space to the left and to the right of the image where before you get to the edge of the screen. It's like watching the entire movie on a window, And the IMAX screen is enormous, of course, but I couldn't figure out why they didn't use the entire width of the screen, because then they could make the image taller, like they couldn't do with those other movies. So that kind of made me mad. I was just like, what the heck are they, taking all the time to make an IMAX and not use the entire width of the screen? I know they can't use the entire height, but at least they could use the whole width. I don't know. Mr. Cameron, I want you to get back to me on that one, because we got to have words about that. It was probably a resolution issue. They said if we blow it up to the full size, we can't get the resolution quite the way we want it. You know, it just didn't make a lot of sense to me. I want the whole width of the screen used, really. I mean, if you go to a movie theater now, if you're watching one of those widescreen movies, the screen doesn't get wider, it gets shorter. They actually contract the image, contract the upper and lower portions of the screen to give you that shape. So it isn't like watching a wider movie, it's watching a movie that's shorter, just like on a DVD. And to top it off, they use cameras that don't actually use a wider portion of the screen. They use the whole image and then they cut off the top and the bottom just to give it that shape again. It makes me so mad. Anyway, so I would recommend watching it in 3D on a normal theater rather than an IMAX screen. Because if you can find a screen that's big enough at your multiplex, it won't make that big of a difference. It's nice to see it in IMAX, but really, I think it would work just as well, if not better, in a normal theater in 3D with the digital sound and all that stuff. So that would be my advice. See it, but not in IMAX. You know, really, I mean, it doesn't need it. I mean, it's a pretty spectacular movie to begin with. You know, really, really big action sequences, and yeah, it's kind of amazing. So that's my take on it. And oh, and Jude, what's up with Brittany Murphy just dropping dead of a heart attack? My goodness, that is so incredibly sad. I can't believe it. I can't say I was a really big fan of her movies, but I liked her. I liked her, you know, spirit. You know, she's a very cheerful, energetic person. And you know, in stuff like Sin City, you know, she's you know, a lot of fun. I don't know that I'll go running out and seeing more of her movies now that she's not around anymore, because there'll be more stuff of hers that she shot already that is about to come out. But yeah, it's very, very sad and disappointing that you know, someone who doesn't seem to have any issues, or at least none that I know about. I don't know. Anyway, it's took me by surprise. Look at the paper this morning. I'm like, what? You gotta be kidding me. That's crazy. Yeah, very sad. So anyway, that's all I have for now. I'll be doing more videos on the contest, but there's still time if you want to vote, or should I say to enter the contest where you guess 3 movies from 2008. I've got a link to that video in the sidebar, and feel free to you know, enter that and make your guesses anytime between now and the Saturday, the day after Christmas, because I'll be checking for correct answers and winners on Sunday. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye.